Welcome to the Next Level podcast. This show is for leaders, builders, and bold thinkers who know they're meant for more and are finally ready to stop waiting and start moving. The Next Level Lab is where confidence meets clarity, where identity turns into action, and where bold decisions create real momentum. Here we'll talk about leadership, growth, energy, mindset, and what it actually takes to build a life and a business that feel aligned, powerful, and totally yours. You'll hear real conversations, real stories, real strategies. No fluff, no playing small, and no waiting until you feel ready. This podcast is your permission to lead louder, move faster, and own your next level. I'm your host, Callie Wiley. Let's freaking go. Welcome back to the Next Level Lab podcast. Super grateful you're here. I appreciate all of your guys' engagement, your shares, your likes, your subscribes, all the things. But today let's jump in and I want to talk about failure. I want to tell you that I hope you fail. I hope you fail, and I hope that it hurts, and I hope that it's painful, and I hope that you're sad. And I hope that you try and you fail again. And I hope you try and it fails again. Because when we get comfortable with failure, we're more willing to take risks. And if you're not willing to take risks, you're never going to find success. You're never going to find the success point. And this is an unpopular opinion because as humans, we want to protect ourselves. We want to say, I don't want to fail. I want to be successful. Everything I touch, I want it to be successful. And that's not realistic. I want you to fail. I want you to be so comfortable with failure that it doesn't scare you anymore. I'm willing to fail over and over again. It doesn't scare me anymore. And when things fail, I don't even get emotional. I don't even get emotional. And a lot of the times what happens is we fail and we get bummed, right? We get so upset because we're so disappointed in ourselves. And the emotions come up. We cry, we're upset, we're bummed. Oh my gosh, why would I do this? I'm going to cancel my LLC. I'm never posting anything again. It's this idea that I failed and now I'm not okay. And I want you to fail and I want you to dial that in. I want you to fail and I want you to address it. I want you to have self-awareness. I want you to say, I failed. How do I feel? Why do I feel that way? What can I do differently? What did I kick ass at? What was I really good at? Why didn't this hit? Why didn't this land? And when we go through this process of reflecting in things, and then we move on. You reflect, you hold for a moment, give yourself a time frame. I give myself 2 hours. I reflect, I hold, I pivot, I try again. I reflect, I hold, I pivot, I try again. And I'm willing to try 1,000 things. And when people ask me about my business, I launched my business in July of last year. And I've done this part-time for years though. I've done this part-time for years. If you go back to any of my old social medias, I've been doing this for years. I've had a podcast for a decade. I've been doing this for years. But it's always been the same message. It was just this fear of, what if I go full-time and this fails? What if I go full-time and this fails? What happens? If I leave my full-time job and I launch this, what if it fails? And I knew failure long-term wasn't an option, so I tried everything. And 6 out of the 10 didn't work, and they failed, and they flopped, and workbooks flopped, and classes flopped, and things weren't successful. Or the first time I launched it, I did Power Hour for the very first time, and there were 2 people on my call. 2 people. And it would have been really easy for me to say, I'm never doing this again. And now I have classes that have 20, 40, 60 people on it because I didn't give up. Because I didn't say, this wasn't a failure. I've just not made a footprint big enough. I've not advertised myself enough. People don't know about it. And so when we can reflect and decide, hey, is this an actual failure? Or do I need to do something different? It can change how we perceive ourselves. It can change how we keep going. I've also launched things and I'm like, whoa, didn't land. I'm not taking any more time on that. Pull it down. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's try something else. Let's take our energy into something else. That's okay too. But it's our ability to fail and move on. Because I work with a lot of small business owners. I work with a lot of people that own side businesses and they're not willing to try. And when people say, hey, my business isn't successful, and then I ask them what they've tried, they've almost tried nothing. Well, I went to one farmer's market and I sold my product and I only sold 20 of my item. Okay, then what? That's all I've done. When you don't keep trying and don't keep going, your business will never be successful. This applies to regular life, right? This isn't just business. If you are not willing to try things and fail, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have to get out of your own way. We have to be willing to fail. We have to be willing to fail. Failure is going to happen over and over and over again. You're going to fail in relationships. You're going to fail in friendships. You're going to fail in life. You're going to fail tests. You're going to fail certifications. You guys, I failed out of college. I failed out of college because I couldn't pass a business accounting class. And I could have just said, I did say, screw it, I'm done. I could have let that dictate my whole future because I live in a society, we all live in this society that says, you're more valuable if you have a degree. I hear it all the time. You're more valuable if you have a degree. And I chose to change my narrative to who I am is valuable because of my experience I got when I dropped out of college. Because when I dropped out of college, it opened me up for opportunities I never would have had. It opened me up for internships, and I took a ton of gig work, and I did all this life experience. And I decided to say, my greatest failure that everyone thought I was gonna succeed at is gonna now be my superpower. And I don't care, because I don't need a degree to qualify for things. I don't need a degree to qualify for things. And that was really hard to overcome. It didn't make me a failure. I just had to learn and pivot, right? We latch into these things that say, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. Okay, what makes you a failure is not getting up and going again. But if you get up and go again, no one's gonna remember about what just happened. No one talks to me anymore unless I publicly bring it up about failing out of college. No one talks to me. You guys, I was a straight A student my whole life. I hit my junior year, my dad got really sick. I failed everything. Like my classes were a train wreck. No one brings that up anymore. No one even freaking remembers. Now they're like, how the hell did you get to here? How did you get to here? And it was my tenacity. It was my grit. It was my, I'm going to keep going. I could have very easily, when I walked away from my full-time role in July, it's really hard for me, June of last year, very challenging for me because I felt like a failure. I felt like a failure because you guys, I earned the seat at that table and I worked my entire life for this VP role that I thought was my dream. And I couldn't get past grief. I couldn't get past healing. I was broken. I was hurt. I was sad. I didn't have the capacity to show up in the way I needed to for my people, for my team, for that company. Because I was sad, I was broken. I was not able to heal. My parents died and I just kept working. My parents died and I just kept working. I took a few days off for each and I just kept working. And it caught up. And I felt like the biggest failure of my life because I just walked away from the corner office dream job that everyone wants, that I've always worked for. And now, is this a failure? And I had to really position myself to say this isn't a failure. This is a pivot point. How proud I was to say, Callie, this isn't in your capacity anymore, doesn't make it a failure. It was my ability to step back and say, I need time to heal. And I need space to heal, and I need a schedule that allows me to heal, and I need to be available for my people and my friends and my family and my nephews to say that I could heal. So it was never a failure. It was a stepping stone. And when we can look at our failures as stepping stones, you will get to step into this whole new life because you'll be so less worried about constantly failing. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're stuck in your own way, it's because you're sitting in this peak of failure. And I want you to think about this. I want you to think about a time you failed recently. I want you to think about a time you failed recently. And I want you to think about that image in your head. How did you feel? What happened? How long did you hang on to that? And are you still thinking about it? Because if you're still thinking about it, you're wasting so much energy, capacity, space to be incredible, right? You're taking the capacity that you could be using on the next thing and you're holding on to it. And you're saying, I'm gonna obsess with this. And now I can't try again. And you're stopping yourself from living your best life. You're stopping yourself from the door that could change your entire life. You're stopping yourself from opening yourself to new people, to new networks, to new opportunities. And that is on you. So go fail today. Go fail publicly. I always share when we launched this podcast, I've been podcasting for that decade, and you guys, train wreck. SD card was full, camera died, mics weren't plugged in, mics didn't record. Every podcast I've done have been multiple takes. It would have been so easy for me to say, I'm just gonna sell my camera and I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go back to audio only. Camera's not for me, YouTube's not for me, and it was scary. It was scary. But I kept going and I launched stuff imperfect and I let things just ride. And some of those episodes took off. The first episode got 5.2 views and I was like, oh my gosh, like we made it. We made it. We're doing it. And then the second one got 26 views. You guys, that is the name of the game. It's how we keep going. I'll keep posting content. I'll keep producing podcasts. I will keep showing up. 2 weeks ago, Apple listens through the roof. Through the roof. The next week, big dip, big dip. Keep going. Keep showing up. Don't just quit because something didn't go your way. Don't just quit. Pivot, adjust, reassess, redo. Don't let failure stop you today. I want you to take this and just be more comfortable. I want you to be more accepting. I want you to just feel like failure is not a bad thing. And I want you to be able to step into your greatest season, right? When we can just fail publicly and not care, I don't get embarrassment from failure anymore. I don't care. I don't care. Lean into that. Reach out to me. You know I love to engage with people. I love to hear about how people are feeling. My Instagram will be in the show notes below on all the listening platforms. My Instagram's It's Callie Renee. Share with me your failures. Share with me, tag, drop a reel, drop a story. Share where you're currently failing, because when we can start talking about failure publicly, it gets less scary. And other people say, oh crap, I did that too. And it's why I share the failures of the podcast. It's why I share the technology failures. It's why I'm willing to share the behind the scenes, because it makes people say me too. It makes people say me too, and they feel seen. So share your failures. Let's talk about our failures. Let's talk about it. Let's share them. Let's get them more public so they become less scary for us and for others. And let's use this to be really powerful. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I always appreciate you supporting me, subscribing, liking, commenting. All of those help me a ton. Shares on social media also help a ton, so make sure that you can do that as well. I would greatly appreciate it. And otherwise, have a great day. I appreciate you guys.